we're going to try and do is we're going to try and get it to the dump. Make sense? All right? Swinging is most frequently dump and swinging. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to have the dump come in, try and get a dump pass, and then we're going to have our continuation swings just like normal. Except it should be even more effective. All right? Because they now have two guys who are essentially on the target. Make sense? Okay. What if they're just poaching short? Yeah, you can essentially just go deep or just go mid. Just poaching short is a very flawed defense, and not one we'll probably see. But when we'll see it is in transition, and you have to recognize it. All right? In transition, players get that silly idea, including myself, that if you poach them and you run a little two-man game where one guy's marking him and one guy's poaching him, then you're going to shut off everything. It's very easy to break poaches like that. Just put it right past him, but the receiver has to be aware. And it works against teams who don't have aware receivers. So, that's what we do against poaching. What do we do against zone? If the other team throws a zone against us of any kind, what do we do? You guys have no idea, I'm sure. John?
The same idea. Because you're going to be poaching.
Yeah, it's the same idea. Zone is just a more organized poach. And what do I mean the same idea? Well, honestly, we have a lot of really talented cut breakers on this team. So, when it's a zone, you'll know way ahead of time. Everybody will be yelling, zone, zone, zone. What I need you guys to do is recognize that and listen and pay attention. The way this team breaks zones, and it's very effective, is it essentially has three handlers in close proximity, keeping the stall count low. It has two people deep and two people mid. That make sense? All right? We don't really dump and swing like a lot of teams do. All right? We use hammers a lot. This is something that would make a traditional ultimate player cringe. Okay? But it's very effective. We've always performed extremely well against zones, and there's really no reason to change it now. But it involves listening. All right? I mean, I'm going to be yelling to you if you're, two of the mids or two of the deeps or two of my handlers. All right? And either myself or Manny or John, we're all going to be trying to break the cut. And we do it very well. But you have to listen. Okay? This is another example. Zone is another way of kind of playing dishonest defense. Right? Honest defense is good, wholesome. You have one man, you guard him. We don't play that defense. Nor will anyone make us play that defense at any time. We play zone through and through. All right? That's because it's a team defense. All right. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about our zone. So, in our zone, Raymond, name the first tier of defense. Daniel, second tier. Oh, short tier.
The wing and the hammer stuff.
That's right, wing and hammer stuff. All right, you can also call it the open side wing and the break side wing. You can also call it the wing and the striker. All right, there's a million different ways you can call it. You understand what the concept is? Amelia, last year.
Deep.
The deep. Yeah, Cliff. All right, that's another deep. So, when the disc is in the middle of the field, no, let me phrase it this way. Which way does the zone force? To the sideline. Very good answer. And that's the right answer. It's not always going to force forehand. It's not always going to force backhand. We're going to force to the sideline. Okay, that makes sense?
That's in the closest line.
Yes, as in the closest sideline. Now, how do we know when to shift? I mean, if we're on, if we're 51% towards the forehand side and they throw a little 2-foot pass and now we're 51% towards the backhand side, does our whole defense shift? No. How do we figure it out? D'Amelio. You don't know. That's fine. Chris.
You're not going to shift this 51% because they swing it.
But how do you know when it's a big enough shift? Jeff. No idea?
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel. What? Communication. All right, that makes sense? 10 points for Raymond. All right, communications. That's funny. Okay, so communication. You will hear us. You'll hear the veterans yelling, switch, switch, switch. All right, force backhand, force backhand. Okay? Defense is about communication. The offense is facing their players. Very frequently, the defense is not. The defense has to trust in communication. And we're going to work on communication a lot this season. It's a big deal. It's very difficult to develop, but very powerful when you do. All right? Make sense? So, shifting like that, sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it doesn't even need to say it, but that's rare. Probably going to say it anyway. Okay? If we have them trapped on the forehand side, and they throw a full field swing hammer, we're going to shift probably. Now we're on the full backhand sideline. But we have to be aware. So, I want to introduce to you guys today an advanced feature of our zone, which is the trap. So, in a standard zone, we have the mark, dump guard, dump, the zone, and of course, the wings and the D. Alright? Very simple. We're forcing him to the sideline, the forehand sideline. Make sense? What happens if we get him on the forehand sideline? What happens when we get him there? Why is it so important to get him there? Well, we suddenly have almost no field to cover. And here's what it will actually look like. So you recognize what's going on. Right? That's what our defense suddenly looks like. That makes sense? Now where's the weakness? John.
Full field swing.
Full field swing. If he gets it over here, we're in trouble. Where's another weakness? We're really scraping for weaknesses here. Theoretically, a full field swing that also gains yardage. Someplace here. Alright. Fine. If our offense falls apart because they throw a 50-yard hammer or through a mark and two guys who are in kind of limitation range, they're able to throw a full field swing, fine. That's good defense. That they rely upon 50-yard, very difficult throw, right, like that, or even a 30-yard, 40-yard, very difficult throw. Okay, make sense? All right, so what happened to get into this trap? Well, who could tell me what this guy is? That's right, the dump guard. Dump guard is still going to be playing dump guard, but he's really going to orient himself towards backwards passes. Okay? Not so extreme that if they throw it 2 feet backwards, we compromise our defense, because then we can just shift. But he's going to orient himself towards the back. What's this position? It's a short deep. The short deep will orient himself towards the middle. He's now looking to stop passes to the middle of the field. And honestly, he's the guy who's most responsible when the disc is swung full field. What about this angle? Notice the difference in angle of here and here. This is the second tier. Instead of facing like this, now like this, right on the sideline. And even, honestly, I can see a trap where it's kind of like this. And that may be even more powerful. The reason they're able to do that is because the sideline is half the defense now. They can't go that way on the forehand side. So now all we have to guard is this side, and there's no reason to really keep guarding that side. Make sense? Okay. So what we're going to practice today is transferring into the trap. Okay? And to do that, we're going to stand up, and we're going to do that. All right? As we've been doing in our individual practices. On Friday, scrimmage, all we're running is this zone and that offense. Okay? All right, so let's stand up and do the things we talked about. All right, so